Well, hello and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and ITY TV interview. Today, I'm joined by Gerald Faust. He is the MD and CEO of SNP Group in the Asia Pacific and Middle East. And also joining us is Luka Debeljak. He's the GM for Azure Infrastructure in the Greater Asia region at Microsoft. Welcome both to the program.
Hi, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. Now, let's start with you, Gerald. The SNP Group started back in 1994 and today is known as the Data Transformation Company. So can you please recap why and what SNP Group offers to the market in 2021?
Yeah, thank you, Alex, for giving us the opportunity. So, as you said, we're 27 years old, headquartered out of Germany. This is where SAP has its origin as well. And what we did over the last 27 years is helping SAP customers in transforming major parts of their businesses. Right? This spans from M&A activities to obviously now, which is very much in trend, taking the next level of moving to software as a service, moving to infrastructure as a service, and all of this together. And that's what we believe we can do more and more in an automated fashion. And that's why we built the software called Crystal Bridge, proprietary software, which again, together with Microsoft and other partners, we're taking to the SAP ecosystem.
Sure. And Luka, I guess I better just jump to you very briefly to tell us about Azure in the region and just a little bit about your relationship with SNP Group, although we'll go into more detail on that later.
Yeah, sure, Alex. Yeah, so hi, and thanks for the opportunity here. So Microsoft, one of the public cloud offerings that we have is Microsoft Azure. It's a set of different services that run in our hyperscaler cloud environment. What I personally look after is the infrastructure piece of that, and we're focusing on our enterprise biggest customers and help them on their transition and making sure that they leverage this to the best way possible, with the security in mind, the risk, etc. So really exciting to work with partners like SNP to go on this journey for our customers.
Great. Now, Gerald, it's nearly 2022 with businesses globally disrupted, still disrupted by COVID. I mean, more than ever before. And along with all of our lives having been disrupted too. Now, we've seen a lot of digital acceleration in this time as companies accelerated their adoption of cloud technologies, which was great to see. So how would you characterize the driving forces behind business transformation for SNP Group and its customers?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting times for all of us across the region. Right? I mean, our offices, we are in Sydney, we are in Tokyo, we are in Shanghai, Singapore, and so on. But there's one common thing, as you said, right? So now, as we see stepwise the reopening of all the economies and the reconnecting of the global economies, we also see significant investments coming in to make the transformations happen, right? And that's really the case for more and more SAP customers, as I said, to renew their SAP strategy in combination, in most of the cases, with renewing the infrastructure strategy as well. And that's quite a complex topic. You have the big software application piece on the one hand side, and then there's all this innovation happening on the hyperscaler side. And I think Microsoft is a great example in terms of offering this value and driving innovation with customers. And that's a complex undertaking every company has to take and has to consider. And every case is individual. That's what we see. And that's why we joined forces with Luka and his team in order to make this decision, how to transform to the next level easier, simpler, and faster.
Yeah, absolutely. And Luka, you must have seen some wild times over the past 18 months as demand went through the roof.
Yeah, it is crazy. Like the amount of transformation that happened in the last 2 years. I mean, everybody's talking about it. And even, some of the predictions that Gartner and the others put out there, a few years ago. I mean, everything is just so accelerated. You see all these companies now with a cloud-first approach, right? Everything they want to do is in the cloud. They don't want to be into, having data centers and infrastructure on premise. They want to be in the fast, agile, everywhere accessible world. So it's really, really exciting.
So, Gerald, what are the major pain points that organizations are facing currently, in your view, around digital and business transformation?
Well, look, in the area of the SAP customers, and more or less every big company runs SAP somewhere in their patch, right? They're using the software, the existing software, for many, many years, right? The data has grown, and we, especially in this part of the world, just look at China, India, Indonesia, Japan, all the other countries with a huge population, with huge number of customer orders and so on. We really see enormous amount of data sitting on the SAP software and on a data center kind of approach of infrastructure, right? And again, moving forward, how do you deal with that, right? You want to become more agile with your whole technology approach, but you're sitting on tons of terabytes of data. What to do with it? Do I take everything? Well, maybe then the consumption in the cloud will have a high price tag. Do I want to leave all the data behind? Well, that's not a good choice either, right? And that's why we say, keep the best and transform the rest. That's a little bit of our mantra, how we help customers to make this transformation happen.
Yeah. Well, it's always a good opportunity for a bit of a clean out from all the data you don't need, and focusing on what you do need. It's like a spring cleaning. Now, SNP maintains close partnerships with a number of vendors, including Microsoft, with Luka here from Microsoft, representing Azure. So can you both please tell us about your partnership and the things that you and your customers are achieving together?
What I said earlier, the customers have a significant challenge in simplifying the view on, okay, how do they want to transform? And there's the software piece, there's the infrastructure piece. And what brings the two of us together is we are aligning forces, we are integrating on a vision, on an execution level, and on a technology level to make this a more simple decision for customers. Right? So simply on a technology level, we automate things, as I said earlier, to make the whole journey faster and more agile. And with that, we also deliver analysis results very upfront, deeply integrated into Azure, right? That whatever the system landscape in SAP looks like, the customer immediately and fully automated gets, okay, this is the sizing recommendation, and these are the commercial terms behind that, which delivers a business case. Right? And these are the things where we together want to simplify the journey for every customer on the next step of transformation.
Luka?
Yeah, I'll add on to that, because it's if you look at the big enterprises today, they have a couple of things that are in mind. Of course, you have the risk, the security is always there, but then they're thinking about cost. How can I do this really at lower cost? Maybe even faster. What are the application dependencies? How do I manage these things, and how do I actually train my people to be able to run this in a different environment? And when we look at SAP specifically as a workload, there was an analysis done by SAP that 50% of all the projects that are starting on their migration towards the cloud take more than a year. So think of it, more than a year, maybe 2 years, that's a long time, right? And customers want to move faster. They don't have all that time or space to do it. So we leverage partners like SNP Group. They have amazing tools that can analyze the environment and make it way, way faster to show the customers what the outcome is and how to actually do the migration. So this is super, super important tool and collaboration for us whenever we talk to any enterprise customer. So really, really amazing things we can do here.
So what are some of the software and partner-centric transformations for local customers, I guess in Australia and also in the Asia-Pacific region, that you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, we have done a couple of very interesting things together already, right? In 2019, we helped Coles, I'm sure you know the retailer in Australia.
Huge.
To move to S/4HANA within 5 months, and to an Azure infrastructure, right? So when it comes to speed, to move to both software as a service and infrastructure as a service, I think this is a very good example how fast you can do that within 5 months. Right?
It's a lot quicker than the year or two that Luka was talking about. Obviously, things are so mature now, and you're so experienced that it's just much easier for you to handle all these sorts of transformations.
Right. Still, every customer situation is unique and is individual, and has a certain degree of complexity, again, which we together can solve. Right? We have done another example in Indonesia with United Tractors, being part of the Astra Group, right? A very interesting move to the cloud. Another one we recently finished was one of the leading retail giants in Japan, right? Where, as you know, the more and more retail business is moving online, the more or the less you want to disrupt your business by moving there, right? Just consider, I think every hour of a downtime for a retail system, and a retail company costs them hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, every hour. So minimizing the downtime when making these strategic transformational moves is another thing where we together with Microsoft have a great technology solution to minimize that business risk.
And, what else should we be talking about that we may have missed regarding SNP Group, S4HANA, and Microsoft?
Well, I mean, one thing that anybody should take out of this conversation is that if you have any SAP environment and you want to transform it or migrate it, you rarely have all the tools available today that could give you the insight of how your system really looks like and when the transformation will be. And SNP Group brings that to the table, right? They have several different tools that show you either the data, the structure, the impact, and even like what you're actually using or not using in your current system. Because, if you're running SAP for a long periods of time, things cannot be optimized. It can be that maybe you're not leveraging everything that you should in the right way. And when we're using the SNP tools and moving that to Azure, we can really optimize that, make it agile, and make it really, really easy to use.
Yeah.
And in a broader context, in a broader context, Alex, I think it's all about managing the risk of such kind of transformations. And again, that's why we are aligning forces, doing it in an automated fashion, showing integration of our tools and software and platforms in order to minimize these risks. I mean, I talked about the risk of business downtime earlier, not only for a retail giant. Every production company who has some SAP software inside is facing the same challenge. So minimizing downtime, securing that the move will happen, having fallback solutions in case of some glitches occur, right? All these are mitigating actions to minimize the risk of such transformations.
Yeah. And look, a lot of companies would have gone through several phases of digital transformation over the past 20 years. I mean, originally it was siloed CRM systems and ERP systems, and we've had previous attempts at, unifying things through the cloud. Obviously now it's, even more sophisticated and advanced, and you must both be helping companies sort of upgrade from previous digital transformation efforts, but which must happen all the time, and they want to modernize and all the rest. But are there still companies out there who haven't sort of done any digital transformation at all? I mean, they're still sort of somehow managed to keep going through with whatever legacy technologies they had, and they're coming to you and sort of saying, help, what's the first thing we need to do? What are the top 5 things we need to do? I mean, I know you spoke before about the tools and you sort of touched on some of this, but what's your advice for companies who are, incredibly still waiting to go through digital transformation for the first time, or are sort of, they did it last time 5 or 10 years ago and they really need a refresh?
Yes, I mean, I can maybe take that one. Like first thing that we say to any customer is, if you don't know where to start, it's just reach out. Like, let's have a conversation, because the amount of information and the innovation that's coming to the hyperscalers, to the cloud, to the digital transformation is enormous. And if you're a bit lagging behind, or this is not your core priority as a company, because in many cases this is not, many companies are not IT companies. So we can help to give you an idea of how the path looks like. So we have really prescribed ways of how we take the customers to the journey, which areas we focus on, and how to leverage the best tools like SNP Group brings to the table, right? So it becomes first a exploratory ideation kind of way of, hey, these are your options. How fast do you want to move and what do you want to achieve, right? To align to the business outcomes. Don't try to just buy stuff and try to do it on your own. Like, companies have this consultative way of how we can get you on the right path. Yeah.
And Luka, what's your advice on?
Well, coming to your question earlier, right? Every company is thinking about, how do I make the next move happen? Again, individually and uniquely, but there's not a single company which is not considering that, right? And plus, obviously, SAP also driving their customers to adapt software as a service until 2027. So every big company has to move, and everyone is considering that. Not that because they have to move, because they want to move. And what we do, as Luka outlined, we try to simplify that, especially in the first decision-making phase, in order to automate all the analysis we can do, right? To get a solid starting line of, okay, where am I today? And what are the scenarios I can take? So we can run a fully automated assessment of SAP landscapes. Again, combine it with sizing tool of the Microsoft Azure platform, and then have only a limited number of workshops with the customer. Everything else runs fully automated before, right? Where we discuss the transformation scenarios. We're able, with this data foundation underneath, we are able to give clear recommendations. What would it mean scenario A in terms of time and costs and risk versus scenario B or C, right? So things which have taken in the past probably 2 or 3 months of analysis project, we can shorten now to a time frame of 2 to 3 days based on this automated assessment and analysis.
Excellent. That's a big. Well, that's digital acceleration and work right there. Now, as we get towards the end of the interview, I'd just like to talk about the future and the past. How do you both see digital and data transformation solutions evolving over the next couple of years, and how do you think they will look like in the 2030s?
Well, for us, it's pretty clear, right? We created a platform which makes these transformations happen, and we continue to build that out. That software is superior when it comes to data gathering, data analytics, and so on. The human being will still be needed for more strategic tasks, meta tasks, like what's the scenario and so on. So automation with our software will continue. Integration into platforms like Azure will continue as well. That we make these moves faster and more agile, that businesses can make decisions on the fly if they want to go route A or route B. So again, that's clearly the way forward, besides all the positive effects on costs as well.
And Luka?
Yeah, maybe to add to that, it's what you realize at some point that customers are more and more focusing on the data and what they can actually get out of the data, right? So we're migrating systems like SAP, but there's a lot of knowledge that's hidden in the data. So, you hear AI, integrating AI into every aspect of your operation. This is definitely where we're going, right? Making systems smarter and giving you those insights. And everything actually have, to have everything agile and fast for a good price, right? That's where the digital transformation is going. Hopefully, this is the right time. We're going to also look into sustainability, right? Because cloud does bring some efforts towards sustainability versus running environments on premise. So I'm really positive that's going to be also an angle that's going to drive some of the transformation in the future.
And the next question I always like to ask is to ask if you could please share your memories of your first computer, because I got my first computer in 1979. 2 years before the IBM PC. So I'm always fascinated to hear about other people's experiences with technology. So, Gerald.
Luka, you want to start?
Sure. I don't know the exact date, but it was ZX Spectrum.
Yes.
In the computer with a rubber band.
Yeah, the rubber keyboard, keys. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, wrote my first software on that one. Plus a small. Yeah, that was interesting.
Was it a game? What did you program the first time around?
No, I just like it. We were doing the basic links and drawing some things on the screen, etc. Right? We were still young, but it was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gerald?
Yes, for me it was more the moment when I connected to the World Wide Web. Right? I still remember those days. I was sitting in the basement, right, and had this new modem in my hand and said, so how do I plug this into the telephone line, into the computer? How does it work? And then out of a sudden, right, I had this feeling of, wow, this is going to change the world, right? We know that bandwidth was terrible, right? User experience was not anywhere near there. But this aha moment of, now I'm connected to the rest of the world was just overwhelming and really impressive. And I still remember that moment.
So my second last question is, what is the best piece of advice that you've each received in life to help you get where you are today?
Look, for me, it's always stay curious and stay humble, right? The world is changing so fast, right? Technology is everywhere and anywhere, right? It's the question, how do we apply that to make the world a better place, right? And again, this is the curiosity I think we all should apply in our daily lives, and at the same time stay grounded and stay humble. What do we do to each and every individual, to each and every human being in order to move forward?
And look at the best advice you've ever received to help you get where you are today.
Well, I would say, and I really like what Gerald said, but what I would say is today, everybody's so competitive and they're looking what others have, etc. So my advice would be everybody has their own path. Be passionate to what you're doing, and success will come for you in the shape that you want, right? And don't look at what others have and don't have, right? And then just stay passionate about what you want to achieve.
So, what is your final message to IT Wire viewers and readers, and to your current and future customers and partners? Gerald?
For us, in this complex world, it's really about partnerships, right? Forming partnerships like what we have with Luka and his team and Microsoft, also on a global level, right? To help our customers to make decisions in a more simple way. They're not easy decisions. We know that they're quite complex, as we discussed throughout the thing, but again, we believe it's the partnership aspect of it, right? And the software aspect of it, which again makes these kind of things happen simpler, faster, and more agile.
Luka?
Yeah, I would basically just add, look, it might be really, it might be complex for you to think about how the transformation will look like. So just reach out, right? We're here to actually help you with that. And we're creating tools and platforms and building partnerships so that we make this easier for you. So reach out if you have a question, we'll start the conversation, and then you will see where you want to take it.
Well, Gerald Faust, the CEO of SNP Group in the Asia Pacific and Middle East, and Luka Debeljak, the GM for Azure Infrastructure in the Greater Asia region at Microsoft. Thank you very much for your time. I really hope that people are able to watch this and understand and reach out to you both and digitally transform. And I hope to talk to you both again in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you, Luka. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.